We know what you've come for, and now we're going to give it to you. You're listening to the No Such Thing podcast.
Hello?
Hey Dave, how are you?
How are you, Cornell?
Welcome back to the show.
Oh, so we're on right now, right?
We are live, and I must say the other Wilbanks was very much quicker on the. She picked up a lot quicker than you did.
Oh yeah, well.
But no, I give her some crap about when I call Southerners, they always seem to like pick up right away. But maybe that's because they're expecting my call, so maybe that's what it is.
Probably so.
So you can hear me okay? I'm just for just for everybody else. I'm using I couldn't find my recorder tonight. I don't know where it's gone. My son said that he didn't move it. I don't believe him. But I'm using a ATR 2100 microphone through the USB instead of my usual, XLR hookup. So, but I'm recording on a third-party software called OBS, which is actually what I end up using anyway because it gives me the best options of like converting and all that crap. So, Dave, I had you on the show a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And it was our first interview, and you spoke about. We spoke about a lot of things. You spoke about being an investigator down there in southeast Oklahoma, and you'd been out to Mark's place and stuff. And I've been watching all your videos. You have your own YouTube channel called Bigfoot and More, where you basically do a lot of things. But one of the main things that you do is you read people's accounts in the middle of the woods. Sometimes you change shirts. But
yeah, you'll have to watch the video I've got that's going to be released Saturday. I addressed that since you took it upon yourself to give me a hard time about it.
No, but you're the best dressed Bigfoot investigator I've ever seen.
No, that's just an old blue shirt that I don't mind if I get it tore up out in the briars in the woods. So that's just kind of the go-to,
Looks good. You're not some fat guy with a beard and just a shitty old like Black Sabbath T-shirt.
Hey, there's no such thing as a shitty Black Sabbath T-shirt. Black Sabbath's cool.
Actually, that's true. That's true. Most of my videos, I actually just got a Black Label Society T-shirt, but it's one of those crap T-shirts you order online, and it's so thin you can actually see through, and you put it through the wash and it shrinks, and I can't even wear it anymore because I'm too fat.
Oh yeah, Black Label Society, Zach Wild.
Oh, they're amazing.
Oh, he is. He's great. The guy that I was waiting on him to finish his guitar lessons here at the store before we did our podcast interview. He is also an artist, and when Dimebag Darrell was killed several years ago, he did a portrait of Dimebag and actually was able to give that to Zach Wild at a Zach Wild Black Label Society concert here in Oklahoma.
Really?
So, yeah, that was really nice. Zach took it and shook his hand and thanked him for it.
Yeah, Zach's a cool guy. Zach kind of always confused me because in the early days he was very soft-spoken, teaching his daughter piano and stuff. And then he turned into this gruff kind of, like he's from New Jersey, but he turned into this gruff, like southern kind of a southern. He had this whole southern rock vibe about him, and all of a sudden he was like a biker with chains and. But
yeah. I mean, in the early days when he first, I remember when he was first hired by Ozzy Osbourne, he was this kind of skinny blonde-headed kid, and now he's like this big muscled-up Viking.
Yeah, but he's good. Apparently, he loves pea soup. Apparently,
I'm sorry.
He loves pea soup, and I was reading this whole thing about him on this is probably not very interesting to my listeners, but he was interviewed by some I think it was Rolling Stone, and they met him in a New York bar, and he was just like pounding down because he likes his beer. Maybe he's sober now, I'm not too sure, but he was just like eating pea soup and like pounding down pints of Guinness or something. Yeah, interesting character, but he's amazing. When his guitar solos, I mean, to obtain that level of expertise on the guitar, you've got to be practicing 15 hours a day.
Yeah. I tell you, you wouldn't notice it or wouldn't know it from my videos that I put up, but I'm a metalhead to the core.
Oh, yeah.
I've been forever. Last year, me and the guitar teacher, Steve, that I was telling you about, we did a Black Sabbath tribute band last year. We played all over the place and for a while just for fun, but, that was a blast.
Now, how was your drummer with War Pigs? That's a hell of a drum jam. How did he handle that?
I tell you, the drummer we ended up with here was somebody I played with about 30 years ago, and he is a monster drummer. I mean, phenomenal. And anytime we'd play like a music festival around here, the other band's drummers would come up just wanting pointers from him. His name's Bill Van. And if he hears that, he'll probably let it go to his head, but he deserves it. He's great.
Yeah, because two of the best things about Black Sabbath were Ozzy's voice and Ronnie James Dio's voice and the drums. They were fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite bands.
So you have your own guitar store where you actually sell guitars. Do you sell other equipment as well?
I sell guitars, my main thing, because that's my own passion, but sell guitars, amplifiers, PA systems, all of your musical accessories, and I do a lot of repair work on stringed instruments.
Now,
I've had this store for 28 years, and it kind of gives me a little bit of freedom once in a while to go off into the woods and look for Bigfoot.
Well, that's good that there's not like you're not monopolized by Guitar Center, because that's where I usually go. I have a card there. I have like $1,800 limit, and it's very hard to pass by it without going in and buying something new. But what's your favorite guitar?
Well, I've got that's hard to say right now. It's not the most expensive guitar that I own. I've got some old like vintage Les Pauls and stuff that are, worth some pretty good money. But the one that's most comfortable to me that I play, it's a Washburn Nuno Betancourt Signature Series with the Bill Lawrence pickups and the Floyd Rose system on it. And it's not the most expensive guitar I have, but it's the most comfortable, and I just, I like it.
Well,
my guitar rig, I play a Laney Ironheart 120, which is pretty much the same amp that Tony Iommi and Black Sabbath uses, very similar amp.
Right. And, I used to be a big Ibanez guy until I picked up a Schecter. I heard somebody playing it one day on Guitar Center, and he was playing it through like a Fender amp with all it has Bluetooth, and it has like 200 different tones on it, and you can download the tones from the internet. So I heard him playing it, and I'm like, I want both the amp and the guitar. So I got this Schecter Demon, I think it's called, and this little Fender, oh my God, what's the name of it? It's a very small amp, but it's so programmable, and you can get any sound you want. Yeah, it's a
Mustang.
Mustang, that's the one. And you can Bluetooth, like if you play something from YouTube, and you like upload a drum track in the background, you can put it onto your the Mustang and just play along with it, and it's so good for your coordination and like just learning how to play the guitar faster and more accurately and stuff.
Yeah, it's all right.
You don't like it?
Nope, not really. I like a good heavy tube amp.
You're a tube man.
I am. For a live performance especially, you get that thing turned up loud and start cooking those tubes, you get the real deal. Yeah,
I was, because I've got ADD, so I get bored quickly. So I like to change around, like hit the button and have the Zakk Wylde classic sound, and then the Led Zeppelin sound, and then the thrash metal sound. I can just press a button, and that's probably why I'm not very good at it, because I keep switching around. But Anyway,
no, I've heard you play, man. I've seen video of you playing. I think your dad's singing, if I remember right.
That was a guy up in New Hampshire. My dad used to play drums for Van Morrison.
Okay, all right. Well, that's what I heard. So, but anyway, I heard you playing with your band. You guys sounded good doing some AC/DC stuff.
Yeah, and then something happened with the drummer and the singer had kid commitments and he couldn't make every practice, and the drummer got all shitty about it. So we ended up breaking up. I'm like, no, we can't break up. This is one of the best AC/DC Brian Johnson impersonators I've ever seen. And
yeah, he was good, very good.
We just fell apart, and he was a real character. Like, he would go into the crowd and grab some chicks white sunglasses and put them on, and we would do Jailbreak, and he would make his own lyrics up on the spot on the AC/DC song Jailbreak, and he was like a real he was really good at improvising, and I loved it, but. It didn't last, and I'm like, this is such a shame. We should have stayed together,
Well, thing about the band, the thing about bands, their biggest flaws, they're made up of musicians, and we tend to be a kind of fickle lot.
I know, that's a problem. I've went to some auditions where, the guy has a karaoke machine as a PA system for his vocals, and some other guy's got an electronic drum kit. And, it's just like, how do you guys even think that you're worthy of playing in the band? Because I can't hear the singer, the drummer doesn't know what he's doing, and I don't understand it. I know my limits. I know how bad I am and how good I am, but some people are like, Jesus Christ. And then you turn up to other practices and they're all smoking marijuana the whole time and they're stoned out of their head. And every song they're going out to the back room and getting stoned and they don't know what they're talking about,
Yeah, I don't tolerate that.
Yeah, I hate that bullshit. I want to go there and practice and bang it out and get some songs down and, get good. But, so, also, in addition to you being a music store owner in southeast Oklahoma, and what is the town again?
What is the what?
Town. Where do you live?
Oh, my store's in Ada, Oklahoma.
Ada.
Yeah, and I don't live in town. My business is in town. I live 30 miles out of town, out in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. As a matter of fact, a lot of the videos that I record for my website where I'm reading an account of somebody, right, that's actually generally on my property. Now, I've been doing a lot of videos lately where I'm, out in the woods, and I'll sometimes, record the expedition, for lack of a better word, while I'm out there and seeing what I see, and then sometimes I'll share something from memory, out there. But the ones where I'm actually reading an account that I picked up from email is generally in the woods on my own property out there.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, how much property you own?
Personally, I live on 80 acres.
Same as Mark?
Yeah, I believe he does. Yeah, I think he did say he's got like 80 acres out there. Now, Mark's place, he's got a lot more woodland on his. Up close to my place, I've got pasture land, and then on the back of the place, there's some pretty thick woods there. But yeah, a lot of Mark's is woodland, and I guess since the last interview we did, the last one we did, Mark, it was me and Mark both, because that was over his place,
right?
And that was behind his, that was in his parents' backyard, right next to the woods. So
now, where you were burning that material, was that your pasture land?
Oh, with the fire?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had there was an old fence row there. We'd cleared it out, and we was burning the brush from it. We was building a new fence there is what we were doing there.
Now, if you own 80 acres in Massachusetts, you're like, some kind of tech genius billionaire.
Well, property down here is not that expensive. So, this is land that's been in my family since the 40s.
That's awesome.
But no, Yeah, Massachusetts, you're talking Northeast. That's like a whole different country than down here. I mean, it's part of the United States, obviously, but I mean, up where you're from, I mean, like I don't even think you can own a handgun, can you?
I can, but I've got to go through all these checks, and apparently, well, in Massachusetts, yes. In New Hampshire's very lax. It's a lot easier. I don't know about Maine and Vermont. Vermont's very liberal, but I know in New York City it's impossible. But in Massachusetts, I can go and pay them $100 and have an interview with the police detective, and he looks at my criminal record, and it's probably going to take a lot longer because I come from another country, and he'll deny me, and then I've got to appeal it. So it's going to take another 3 months. So, but I just want to, like shoot stuff, not stuff. Yeah. I mean, just like, targets and shit.
But like I said, down here, Oklahoma, if you're not don't have a felony on your record or something, you can literally, you don't have to get a license or anything. You can wear a handgun openly on your hip.
That's awesome.
In a holster. It's called constitutional carry, and I think it's Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, maybe Missouri, but several of the surrounding states the same way. But and the thing is, we don't have near the crime rate here as like they have in places like Chicago, where they've got the strictest gun rules in the world.
That speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It means the criminals, they never minded if they could legally have a gun or not. And the law-abiding people, not allowed to have one, and they obey the law, so that makes them an easy target.
Well, it's because of the school shooters, you see. They hype this up in the media that, the school shooters, that's why we need to clamp down on gun laws, when it's really, if you look at the responsible gun owners, and I met some of them in my safety class, they are so rigid about, gun ownership, and they're so, responsible, but it's, and if we have some sort of UN amnesty or something, who's going to turn the guns in? The responsible people.
Whole different country up there, man. I got no. A beautiful country up there where you're at, but I got no desire to live there.
I don't either.
I figure that I think the reason I was talking to somebody the other day. I think the reason you don't see any Bigfoot in Massachusetts is taxes so high there. They all left the state.
You think Bigfoot's being taxed?
What?
They call it Taxachusetts.
Yeah, I know. I was making a joke. I said taxes are so high there, Bigfoot left, right?
Well,
so anyway.
It's also because it's just, I don't know. You saw the video I made from Leominster State Forest. It's the landscape in Massachusetts is very vast. There's a lot of forest here.
Right.
Where I'm living in central Massachusetts is a lot more like where you are. It's a lot more, how would you say? What's the right word? It's a lot more American than the rest of the state. If you go closer to Boston and stuff, it's more international and European and pain in the balls, that kind of stuff. But if you come out here to where I live, it's, people are a lot more, I don't know what the word is. I don't know what the right word is to use, but they're more what I expect of America. And I've lost how many friends this week? 3 on Facebook, just because I was posting photographs of me and my son playing airsoft, that kind of stuff. And they're like, you're promoting gun violence. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm teaching my kids or my kid how to have fun and interact with older people and have responsibility and be part of a team and stuff. But they don't see it like that. They're like, no, you're introducing him to a world of gun violence. And I'm like, you're so full of shit. I'm just like, unfriend. That's it. I'm sick of it.
Well, I've got to tell you my view. I don't, as you probably know, you and I have kind of been acquainted for a little while now. I don't have a personal Facebook. And that's why. I mean, people that I consider friends are people that I can talk to, not post stuff and somebody get mad about it, say, oh, we're not your friend anymore. It's like, well, heck, I don't know you. Weren't my friend anyway.
My problem is most of my friends are from back home, so it's my way of keeping in touch with my family.
Oh yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, so that's why I have that. But I also I have a Parler. It's like a anti-Twitter account, so it's like called Parler, where there's more free speech and stuff involved. So I joined up on that, and there's a lot of people from the South there, and they're patriots, and they say whatever they want. I mean,
right.
not in a bad way, but they can speak their mind, and it's a lot more fun. But anyway, I wanted to speak about how long we gone for on the. Give me a rundown on where the Kaimichi Mountains are that you went solo camping.
Well, the Kaimichi Mountains, they're a range of mountains. It's actually within in the Ouachita Mountains, and the Ouachita National Forest, Ouachita Mountains, they run all the way from southeast Oklahoma all the way over into Arkansas. So it's a pretty big national forest when you look at it that way. Of course, close to my home, I go to more of the western edge of the Kaimichi Mountains. Where Mark's at down there, closer to Antlers. Antlers is kind of in a flatter place that I call it I would call it like the floodplain underneath at just north of where Mark's at. You start going up into like the Kaimichi Mountains and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So and around Mark's place, it's pretty flat. A lot of swampy, kind of wooded area with a lot of rivers and stuff. But you're just not very far from the mountains. Matter of fact, and I go different places, but I think the one where I recorded last time was I would say northeast of Mark, maybe 30, 40 miles as the crow flies, maybe. So, but there's a lot of land leased. The state leases out to lumber companies down there, and you can buy like a land permit. And if you have that land permit, you can go on in all of that area and camp and do whatever, as long as you obey the law. Like some areas that I go to, you have to have, even to go camp there, you have to have a hunting or fishing license. So you just got to kind of keep up with the regulations on the area that you're at. Now, you hear about, I know you've mentioned it before, the area around Honubby, and that's, kind of a big deal now because they have that Bigfoot festival every year, which that's been great for tourism for folks. But a lot of that around that area has been logged fairly recently, and they've knocked a lot of the trees down pretty bad. I don't like to, visit where they've clear cut an area. It's kind of sad, really. But I go to several different areas. Sometimes I go into LaFleur County, which is what Honubby's in, and on over into like Octavia. Around Octavia, there's some good areas. And of course, you got Talamina Drive, which is at a mountain range that you can drive through sightseeing. And you take some of the off roads of that, you get into some real Bigfooty looking places. I can say that. But matter of fact, I just this week got a report from the mountains in LaFleur County, which I made a video sharing that's going to be up Saturday. And I've been in constant communication with the fella that's around the Talamina Drive area that has sent me recordings of some vocalizations and stuff that he's witnessed in that area. So it's an active place. And I do get, people send me what they think are vocalizations sometimes. Some of them I can identify as like the most common animal that I have heard people attribute to a possible Sasquatch that I think is mistaken is a fox. And if you ever hear a fox, they actually sound like a person screaming.
Really?
So, and that, matter of fact, I was watching a fella's YouTube channel. He had made a trip on a bicycle from Michigan all the way to Florida, and he stops in Georgia at a Bigfoot museum on the roadside, and there's a recording of a, quote, Bigfoot vocalization you can listen to, and when he hit play on, I went, oh, that's a fox. So
really? So
but then there's things that I've heard, and that I've heard on Mark's place once when we were there also, that I'm just like going, I'm not sure what that is. So
no,
matter of fact,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
matter of fact, the last video I posted, there's something cries out in the woods there, kind of a high-pitched, long vocalization that I actually captured on my camera's microphone that I'm not sure what that is,
Yeah, I heard that. I saw the stick being thrown also.
Yeah, now that, I keep rewinding that, and at the time I was walking, I did not notice that, and somebody pointed it out in the comments. That's why I try to remember to say when I'm doing one of those videos where I'm walking through the woods and talking, I try to remember to say, hey, if anybody sees something on here that I don't mention, bring it up in the comments and where I can look at it. And yeah, it does look like, something's kind of thrown across the creek in front of me there. No, and I didn't notice it at the time.
I've looked at it a few times, and it could be a bird, but it looks too, I don't know.
Well, and one thing I was thinking, well, if it's not a stick or a rock, and it's hard. It happens really quick. So with the equipment that I've got, I can't really slow it down to the right speed. But it could be something as mundane as a mosquito flying in front of the lens. I'm not going to say 100% that that was an object thrown, but
well, it was too
if anybody watched,
it was too far away for a mosquito. Like that was like 20 yards from you. That was like pretty blatant. That was in my opinion, I think it was either a bird or a branch being thrown.
Yeah, it wasn't a bird. I can tell it wasn't a bird. It was a small, dark object, like either a small rock or something like that. But it's funny, I didn't notice it at the time. Of course, when you're walking and you've got a camera in one hand and you're walking through rocks or thick brush, you're kind of trying to pay attention to where you step, because you don't want to fall flat on your face when you're walking and recording. So
yeah, the area that you're walking through is like you say, it's full of poisonous snakes and stuff.
Yeah, and I've noticed something. Every time I've gone out and I'm talking about, the snakes, I never see one.
Really?
So maybe that's the key, not to step on a venomous snake. Just start talking about them, and they won't show up.
Yeah, my wife's from Kentucky, and when she grew up, she said it was always copperheads and water moccasins and that kind of stuff. And she would swim in the river, and I'm like, are you crazy? Swimming in the river with a possible water moccasin swimming around? I'm like, that's...
they don't come underwater and come and get you. You just got to kind of be mindful of what's around you. That's the main thing. When you grow up in an area where, those things are common, you just, you learn to kind of coexist with them, I guess the best way to put it. And, by the time I was 4 or 5 years old, I could identify the venomous and non-venomous snakes in my area. It was just something I was always interested in. So
your trip into the Comanche Mountains, how long were you there for?
Yeah, it depends on how long I can get away. The last trip I was there, I went down late Friday, and I come back Sunday morning. So a couple of nights. A lot of times I'll go down there and I'll just leave early one morning and spend the night and come back the next day. It depends on how much time I can get away. If I can, I like to stay 2 nights anyway. But I've got a business to run, so it kind of limits me on how long I can, stay out. But luckily, where I go is, about an hour and a half from my house, so it's not a horribly long drive.
So you go there on your white pickup, right?
Yeah.
What kind of pickup is that?
It's a Dodge Ram. It's not anything fancy. It's got a Hemi in it, so it'll get up and go. But
that's what
it's not a 4-wheel.
Yeah,
it's not a 4-wheel drive. But I do have, if it's if I'm needing to go to a place that requires a 4-wheel drive, I've got a small Mazda 4-wheel drive pickup that I can get into the more harder to get areas.
So you go there and you just set up camp, and what you're in a tent, or do you just sit there and back your pickup, or what do you do?
Depends on. Sometimes I'm not close to my pickup. Sometimes I'll have. It depends on how far into an area that I can get. Sometimes I'll park my truck and I'll hike in 100 yards or so into the woods, but no, I don't camp inside a tent. If I'm concerned about rain or whatever, I take a tarp and I'll just make a lean-to with a tarp. And if I'm close to the creek, I'll have like a cot that gets me up off the ground, because if I'm close to the water, I don't want to, water mox and, climbing in a sleeping bag with me, but, sometimes if I sleep, I'll just sit in the chair and sleep. It just depends.
So you can sleep okay there. You're totally relaxed, and you can just go to sleep and you're fine.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, for instance, March or April, I went down there and solo camped, and I mean, there wasn't any activity that was spooky at all, put it that way, going on. I mean, all the sounds and everything were right. I stayed up late. I fried some fish that I'd caught, and slept fine. But then I went back a few weeks after that and camped, and it was pretty quiet at night. I heard something out in the woods, to the west of me, that was pretty heavy. I thought it was a person walking at first, but I don't believe it was at all. But none of the night sounds that were normal were going on, and I didn't sleep that night. I had just an uneasy feeling. So didn't see anything, but there was something in the woods. I mean, it could have been a bear, could have been a Bigfoot, but it was something with some weight to it. It wasn't a deer or anything like that.
Now, do you guys have cougars down there?
Oh yeah, they're not really common, but you'll see the occasional one. I've seen on 2 occasions over the past 30 years, I've seen a cougar. The first time was back in 1989. I remember it because it was like 2:00 in the morning. I just played a gig with the band I was in and was driving home on those dirt roads, and there was one in the road in front of me. And then the last time I seen one, it was not even a mile from my house. Me and my daughter were driving, and it ran across the road in front of us.
And they're
we've also
lionesses, right? They're pretty big.
Well, not like a lion in Africa or whatever, but I mean they're pretty good size. I mean, if I was estimating weight, probably 150 pounds maybe. I mean, they're pretty good size.
Yeah. The
ones I've seen. I mean, I know they get bigger, but yeah, they're the one. I would be more concerned about one of them than I am really the black bear. The only time I've ever seen a black bear in the wild, as soon as it saw me, it turned and bolted as fast as it could go.
Yeah.
But they say those mountain lion, if they're stalking you, you probably won't know it till they jump on you.
And now, what do you have for protection?
Well, I mean, I carry a sidearm. I carry generally a Glock 22, which is 40 caliber handgun.
Nice.
And that's kind of my go-to sidearm that I carry when I'm camping and stuff. And really, I carry it more for just self-defense purposes. If you, I don't know how it is up in Massachusetts, but you got a lot of, we call them tweakers down here, people that are meth addicts and stuff, and they're the ones that you got to really watch out for.
But will they be out in the woods though?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to watch, especially if it's like a camping areas or stuff. They'd go and check and see if the person that is camping there is left to go do something. They'll steal your stuff, you know. So I try to find places that's more remote.
Huh. That's what I was thinking about, because I think there's a whole documentary about how they stopped the methamphetamine coming to the Northeast. There's a whole documentary on it, and how they did it was quite ingenious. And, you know, it might be a problem up here, but heroin's more of a problem. But I understand it's on the West Coast and in the southern areas it's a lot more of a problem. But I didn't think that where you were you would run across those kind of people in like deep wilderness.
Well, and in town, I mean, here in my business, I mean, I'll go out the back door to throw trash out, and you'll find them digging through the dumpsters. These aren't homeless people. I had one time, I had thrown away an old electronic piece. It was a direct box, and it didn't work. Threw it in the dumpster. And about 15 minutes later, this tweaker comes in, and he had what I'd thrown away, and he wanted a refund on it. And I said, "Oh, you didn't buy it." And I knew what he was doing. I said, "You didn't buy that here." He goes, "Oh, yeah, I bought it here." I said, "When did you buy that?" He goes, "Oh, a couple of weeks ago." And I'm like, no, he was trying to sell it to me. You see, he was trying to get his money back on it when he didn't buy it in the first place. You know, he got it out of the dumpster. I just threw it back there. And, you know, they'll scavenge and steal and try to sell stuff to buy some more meth. You know, it's a big problem down here. Real big problem.
Now, let's, I don't know whether to talk about your book or your, the Bluff Creek Massacre first. What would you like to hit first?
Well, let's talk about my book. I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah, I'm proud of it too. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. I read it in like 2 sittings. And that's good. That's big for me because lately I haven't been like a big reader, let's just say.
Right. Well, I've been a voracious reader my whole life, and this is my first attempt at really. The book was supposed to be a short story. I just had an idea, and I thought, well, I'll make a short story, and I just kept adding to it. And I had enough words for it to be able to be classified as a short novel. So I was lucky enough to have an acquaintance of a family member that edits and publishes her own books, and she helped me do all the formatting and hooked me up with an artist for the cover and helped me greatly. I'd probably never got it done because I wouldn't know where to start. But the title of the book is The Shampe, which is spelled Shampe, and that's a Choctaw word, which Choctaw is one of the Native American tribes. Actually, they're the Native American tribe that the southeastern portion of Oklahoma is Choctaw Nation. And I said it in let me say this, where I have my business, this is Chickasaw Nation. And, you know, Chickasaw and Choctaw languages are pretty similar. But I wanted to set the book in the mountains of southeast Oklahoma, which happens to be Choctaw territory. So I found the name of the Shampe, which fit the description of where I was wanting to go with it, and did my best to stay true to the legend regarding it, and then tied it in also with the Bigfoot legend. I mean, the Shampe is a legend that goes all the way back to the swamps of Mississippi, which is the Choctaw homeland before they were relocated to Oklahoma. And it was basically, the Shampe was a monster they described as a large black monster that lived in the swamp, and it was a cannibal, which meant it would eat people. But they said the only way, and what I've read about, the only way that a person that it was tracking could get away from it is if they were a hunter and had some game, if they threw that game down on the ground and ran, maybe the Champé would take the game instead of going after the person. So, but I don't want to give away any spoilers on the book or anything, but I will say this: what I wrote about the Champé does not deviate from, to the best of my knowledge, the way it was portrayed by the Choctaw people. I wanted to give them all due respect there. And one of the main characters in the book, he's an older Choctaw gentleman. And then the parts where I'm talking about just Bigfoot in general, which I call the more benign form. My opinions on that come more from what I have found in my own research and studies over the past 25 plus years. So.
But the Champé was like a rogue Bigfoot, right? He is a Bigfoot, but he's a kind of a rogue.
Well, they don't call it that but you've got to keep in mind, I mean, the word Bigfoot, that didn't come around till like 1958, 57 or 58 in California. Right. But all to my knowledge, or all the tribes that I've looked at, all the native tribes have some legend in their folklore of hairy giant person of the woods, whether it's what we call the Sasquatch, which Sasquatch comes from a different native word that just sounds similar to that, but it's not the, I think it's, I'm not even going to guess, but it's a different word. But there's Sasquatch, there's like in a Choctaw language, the word for, and this is coming from my native friends that speak the language. I said, well, what would you call a Bigfoot? Just the friendly version of Bigfoot. They said, oh, Hatak Chito, which I said, what does that mean? They said, well, that just means big man. And that's Choctaw. In Chickasaw, they would call it Hatak Ishtu, which means same thing, big man. So, and that goes back to what, and I don't know if we talked about this in our first interview, and I don't remember, but a lot of discussion among people that research this subject is, what is the nature of the Sasquatch? What is it? Is it a remnant of an extinct ape, like a lot of them, respected people in the field, like Dr. Jeff Meldrum and Grover Krantz, John Bindernagel, which I have had the privilege of meeting Dr. John Bindernagel back in 2001 or 2, somewhere back in there. And they all, pretty much subscribe to the Gigantopithecus theory. And I give that all due respect. I don't go along with that train of thought myself. Now, like I said, I say that with all due respect to those good people in their work. But like I use the example of the Choctaw and the Chickasaw, their word for it is big man. And, and why would you call something a cannibal? If something's eating something that's not one of them, that would not be a cannibal.
Yeah. You spoke about that in the last interview about, like, well, right. Actually, I think you spoke about it in one of your videos about it not being Gigantopithecus because it wouldn't have evolved, like.
Well, and then, and I'm not going to pretend to be an anthropologist like Dr. Meldrum or one of those folks. Like I say, I have a lot of respect for those folks. They've done a lot to bring credibility to this, and and I just keep in mind, and none of us really know. We don't have a specimen that we can look at and say. So we're all putting our thoughts and theories out there, and I think we all ought to be respectful of each other in that. But I have enough native friends that are in the know on that about the folklore and stuff, and it's not a big monster in the woods. It's a person of just a different kind of person. So, and I tend to, and the natives, they've had millennia, of their time over here, hundreds if not thousands of years, where they've had encounters with these creatures. So there's a lot of interesting stories.
Yeah, it's a controversial subject for sure. Now, what about the this Bluff Creek massacre thing that seems to be popping up?
Well, I mean, and this is something I don't want to get myself on the receiving end of any of the slanderous hate talk going on and stuff, but I will say I don't give that any credibility whatsoever. Not a bit. I have he's passed away, but and this is my introduction to the Bigfoot subject. I had a friend, and of course he lived to be nearly 90, but back in the mid 60s when Roger Patterson was going out, before he did the Patterson Gimlin film, this friend of mine corresponded a little bit with Roger Patterson. Roger actually sent him one of the first printings of his book, Do Abominable Snowmen in America Really Exist? That was my first introduction to it. But anyway, Roger wanted to, bring this, to the attention of people. He was wanting to bring it out and probably make money off his film. I mean, he was wanting to make money on the Patterson film. If he'd have had a body there, man, just think of that. And all these other folks like John Green, who wrote several books on the Sasquatch and really pursued it. Bob Titmus, Renee DeHenden, just dedicated their life to it. I just think if something like that had happened, that would have been out in the open and somebody had made some kind of profit on it. And plus, it's very convenient that it waited till most everyone involved was dead and not in a position to defend themselves before these rumors start springing up. And, I'm going to give a shout out here. I do on my video too, but I'll do this in case somebody's watching your, or listening to this that doesn't watch my YouTube channel. My thought was, why don't these people just talk to Bob Gimlin? He is the only one that was there that's still alive. And I found an interview on I put a link at the end of my video that's going up Saturday. I think they're called the ECBRO. They actually do an interview with Bob Gimlin where he walks them through the whole thing and explains it. And his story's been the same the whole time. And I give a lot more credibility to the words of the man that was there than I do from a Johnny-come-lately rumor that's just popped up over the last 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of hate at the minute.
Well, and he, in my opinion, he's an upstanding man. And those kind of rumors. I mean, this subject is controversial enough without bringing in these Canadian. Okay, this is my silly term for it. Without bringing up Canadian Sasquatch kill squads coming down. I mean, it's like, come on, guys. And the story just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't, but that's, and I go more into it on that. But if you go to that, if you watch my video that goes up, and I've already got it uploaded to YouTube, I've just got it to publish Saturday at noon. Just hit that link in the description. It'll take you to that video, and I just encourage people. I know it's fun, it's entertaining to listen to a story like that, but to me, the actual event is incredible enough. And just follow that link and listen to Bob tell it in his own words. The person interviewing him gives him the opportunity to walk all the way through it and let it, just tell it like it is,
Yeah.
And that's where I'm giving the credibility to. So.
Oh, for sure, Dave. That's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun. I was making a joke about going down there on election night, but that's actually in November, I guess.
Right. I generally stay home on presidential elections. I like to sit and watch the TV and see who's going to win. And man, I tell you what, I am so ready for this election to be over. I've been in business here 28 years. I'm 53 years old. And on a serious note, I have never in my adult life witnessed a time that this country is divided so hatefully so as it is right now.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I have not, growing up, my mom and dad, they were Democrats, and their best friends, the man I was telling you about earlier that had corresponded with Roger Patterson, him and his wife were Republicans. They never even discussed politics. Yeah. And now you got people people are at each other's throats about it. And I've had uncomfortable situations here in my business where I've had to just almost get between people and say, look, you guys knock it off, buy a guitar, and talk about politics somewhere else.
Well,
oh boy,
it's got to the point where they're fighting on the streets. I heard rumors that they're in the militias are in the woods of Oregon, like training for a big standoff with Portland and stuff. It's crazy.
Well, you never know. It's pretty crazy. But we've had those militia, quote militia groups around the United States for ages. I'm not overly concerned about that, but I don't know. It's a weird time we're living in right now.
Yeah, let's see where it all goes.
Yeah, for sure. But I tell you, man, when I get a chance to go off in the woods and just get away from it, I consider that therapy. It's just good to get away from it all.
Well, I can't wait to get down there, and hopefully, I don't know what your plans are, if we sleep or if we camp Mark's property, or if we go to the Kamichi Mountains. I'm fine with whatever, but I'll let you guys decide what you want to do. I just want to see the country.
Well, now, I'm going to have you for a witness here, because if you remember correctly, when you interviewed me and Mark at Mark's place, do you recall him saying that if a Sasquatch got after us, he would shoot me in the leg so it would get me first?
Yeah, that's concerning. He's funny.
So I know Mark's going to listen to this here, so.
He's hilarious. Some of the stuff he posts is.
Oh yeah, he's great.
He cracks me up.
We were talking the other day, or texting back and forth. He was talking about he ought to do some Bigfoot stand up, but he said I think he was afraid he wouldn't be funny. I'm like, man, you're hilarious. When he did that video where he brought the mailbag out and read the letters and just
yeah,
totally nuked that guy that was giving him a hard time. I'm like going, man, I told him, I said, man, Mark, that was gold.
The PhD guy. He did it. He actually did an interview with Troy Hudson on some podcast, and Troy Hudson spent most of the time laughing his ass off at some of the stuff.
Yeah, I saw that. Troy was just...
He was coming out with he feels like it's what do you call that? Roadrunner and what do you call it? The Roadrunner and
when the juvenile was like would do something and Mark would come out with his gun.
Yeah,
that was actually me that said that. I was talking to Mark and I said, Mark, that's almost like one of those cartoons or something where the kid runs up and bothers somebody, and then when they come running out, they take off running. I said, it's almost like these things are messing with you, kind of. And that's, and Mark addressed that in one of his own videos as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Mark's got and I've said it a lot of times, he's got a pretty unique situation regarding these creatures at his place. I remember the very first time that when he had sent me an email and I had made arrangements to go down to his place, and we went walking out in the woods and found footprints of 3 different individuals out there. One, and I took some pictures, and I've got a picture on my community part on the YouTube channel of my foot beside a juvenile's track in the mud, and then there's a couple more that were two different sizes of diggers that were out there. There's quite a bit of evidence, there. And then that one tree limb that was just kind of twisted into circular motion and bent over. See, stuff like that gets my attention more as far as being a marker. I mean, there's a lot of, and I have been kind of critical of some of the, proposed tree formations and stuff, because some of them just look too much like a person could have just stacked them like a set of Lincoln log toys or something.
Right, for a joke or whatever.
Yeah, and it's really hard to. And I got to be careful. I don't want to be putting down anybody that finds something like that. But when I get a picture of something that's stacked like that I didn't find, it's like if it's something that a human could very easily replicate himself, that's kind of different. Now, I just did receive actually the report that I share that's coming up on the Saturday video. That person also sent me pictures of a tree break outside of his camp where from the best I can tell, about 8 or 9 feet off the ground, the top of a sapling is twisted in that circular manner and bent over, and nothing around it's touched. Now, stuff like that gets my attention, and then Mark was showing some trees on his place in a short video I was watching on his channel today, where the tops are snapped off of these smaller trees, but the tops aren't laying anywhere.
Yeah, I saw that, and he had a really good footprint also.
Now, you talking about just now a new footprint?
Yeah, I think it was the last couple of days. He had a footprint with like toe marks and everything. It was very deep.
That's not the one he made the cast of, is it?
I'm not sure if he made a cast of it or not, but I just saw it.
Okay, I haven't seen that one yet. But yeah, I did see the one where the tops of those smaller trees are broken off and the tops aren't laying around anywhere. So that, and when we talked about this before, I think Mark's property is kind of at a crossroads where these things cross. And I've been gathering reports from around the area too. I just got one for a while back that something like within a decade ago, somebody not far from Mark saying they saw an adult and a juvenile out in the field close there. And then, I mean, so, it's not Mark's not the only one that's having these sightings around there is what I'm getting at. So, yeah. And, some of these reports I get them and I ask the person, hey, can I share this information on a video? Sometimes they'll say, yeah, sure, just don't use my name. And sometimes they'll say, no, I don't want it shared. I just wanted you to have this for your files or so. So, yeah. I always respect the person's wishes. You want to definitely take care of that.
All right, Dave. Well, my daughter needs to be bathed and all that nonsense. So I've got to sign off. And well, hey, it was nice talking to you again. And I've still got that ticket that I can book anytime. So we'll keep in touch, and hopefully sometime in October I'll get down there when it's not 120 degrees.
Oh yeah, October will be a lot better weather.
Yeah, I hope so. Up here it's even like brutal. It was like 107 yesterday up here.
Yeah, same down here.
All right, Dave. Well, thanks for coming back on.
No problem, man. Good talking to you.
You too, Dave.
See ya.
Talk to you soon.